Hello folks, this is Sula once again. Welcome to another video for Teamfight Tactics. In this video, we are going to be looking at a different team composition. I'm going to be experimenting in this game with an Inferno 6 composition. So if you like watching things burn, this is kind of the team composition for you. I was tipped off on this team composition by reading some posts on the Teamfight Tactics Reddit thread. There was one player who said that he had played his way up to Grandmaster by just spamming Inferno 6 in every game. Read a little bit about how that build works, and I wanted to try it out for myself. So this is taken from a normal game, not a ranked game. This is not going to have as high of a caliber of player as in some of the other games that I've been posting. My ranked games right now are full of players who are in Diamond, so I'm going up against kind of the top 1% of players in pretty much every game. This is a normal game, so as I said, you're not going to see players who are quite as skilled, and that'll become clear if you watch kind of how people manage their economies in this game. But anyway, so we're going to start out here. This is an ocean map. It is not really the ideal map to be running this team composition. So I am going to look to grab the Jax with the Giant's Belt. I've been liking Giant's Belt as a starting item. It builds into a lot of different team compositions. One of the things I was thinking for this game is I was going to test either playing an Inferno composition or also a 6 Berserkers composition, which is also a pretty popular build right now. And I figured with the Giant's Belt I could go into either one of those builds. And with the Jax I could potentially go into a Berserkers build. For the Berserkers, 6 Berserkers, you just kind of stack all the Berserkers, and then there's a couple different ways to pivot out of that composition as the game goes on. So ideal for playing an Inferno composition would be on an Inferno board. That's because you have a chance to play Kiana, and she gets you another Inferno. There are 7 Inferno champs in the game normally, and if you have Kiana, that gets you up to 8. You can also make more Inferno champions by building Bami's Cinder, which is a spatula plus a needlessly large rod, so it gives you some potential options there. So I see this board right here, and I'm like, oh cool, 2 out of 3 on the Veins, 2 out of 3 on the Varuses right there. And so I'm like, all right, well, I can probably try to build something out of this. I even have the startings of a light composition here as well, although I personally don't like playing the 6 light team composition. I don't think it's that great. Not really seen as being a meta comp, at least in this current patch, which is 9.24b if you're watching this at a later date. So right now, I'm doing what you typically do at the start of a Teamfight Tactics game, is I'm building up, just grabbing a bunch of units on my bench and looking to see what, if anything, I can 2-star here. And depending on what I get will determine what my team composition ultimately goes into. I'm going to pick up a lot of gold there, so that's kind of nice. Obviously, you know from watching this video that I'm going to go into a Inferno composition eventually, but I do want to talk a little bit about the thought process that got me there. When I see this particular bench here, I'm like, oh, this second round here, not ideal. It's all stuff I am not looking for. So we've got Nico and Maokai for Woodland Druid. We've got a Skarner that would lead into Predator. Then we've got Talia, Vladimir, which would lead into an Ocean Mage Wardens type setup. So it's like 3 different compositions here. Have not found a second have not found a Varus to match that one up. Have not found another Vayne to 2-star Vayne. So that was not a good hit. So I decided the best thing that I could do would be to just sit there at the 11 gold and pick up an extra gold as far as getting passive income. I also do find a Nico, which is kind of nice, and now I've got 2 Giant's Belts, which would be Warmogs. So I look here, and then I see another Jax, so I've got 2 out of 3 Jax, and I've got 2 out of 3 Dianas, and I was like, this is again kind of between a couple different team compositions here. So because I've got all this gold, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to level up to, 4. And then I'll put in Nasus for some more frontline. This actually makes Light 3. If you're not familiar with Light, I don't think I featured Light in really any of my videos, so I'll just read the description right here. Whenever a Light champion dies, all other Light champions gain attack speed and are healed for 25% of the dying champion's maximum health. So 3 Light is 15% extra attack speed. Now I'm looking at what other people are running right here. I'm seeing some Woodland Druid, I'm seeing some Predators, I'm seeing some Ocean comps. Unfortunately, this team comp that I was up against, Muscle, was quite strong, and I'm actually not going to have a very good result here. Even though I thought that what I had was pretty decent, it's not going to go well against this particular comp, because they were able to get the Woodland Druid, get the extra unit, and then have Senna in the back there powering up all of those frontline units. So yeah, I actually lost it pretty badly. So at this point here, I get the Kindred as well, and now I was starting to think, I was like, alright, so this actually does feel like I want to play some kind of Inferno composition, because I've got 3 Inferno units already. I have Kindred plus Varus plus the Diana. I'm close to 2-starring both the Varus and the Diana. So I figure that's what I'm going to do, but I will hold on to the Berserker units for the moment, just in case I want to play them. What I probably should have done here was sell the Berserker units and just pivot immediately right here into going into an Inferno comp, but I still wasn't quite sure. I wanted to see if I got some, like a whole bunch of Berserker units next. Maybe I would want to go in and play Berserkers off of this. And I also have just a random Vayne 2-star in. The reason why I have the Vayne in is just, well, it's a 2-star unit, and just gives me a chance to make, well, it's just kind of like a generically strong unit that doesn't necessarily make anything. But but if I had sold the Berserkers, I could get over 10 gold, so I'd get some of that passive gold income coming in. But anyway, yeah, I lost the first 2 rounds. It's kind of unusual for me, especially because you usually will see me spending gold to level earlier. And here I get another Inferno unit, so at this point I'm like, alright, now that I've gotten another Inferno unit within the Zyra, it's time to go ahead and start looking to play Inferno. So that's what I'm going to be looking to do going forward. I've actually gotten pieces, like I could have played a pretty decent Ocean Mage setup here because I have gotten some mages. Could maybe have looked to play Predator, although I haven't gotten much in the way of Cog Malls, and you kind of need Cog if you're going to play that. So for the moment, I'm going to run with this 3 Ranger, 3 Inferno. You need 3 Infernos to make to get that trade in play. And for Ranger, you get extra chance for extra attack speed. What is it? Chance to double the attack speed, I think, is the Ranger. I've got the list of what they officially are right here, so I will pull that up right here. Ranger, every 3 seconds, Ranger have a chance to increase their attack speed for 3 seconds. 2 Ranger, 35% chance to activate the attack speed bonus. That said, I lose that round as well, so I've lost all 3 of the initial rounds, and as I said, that's pretty rare for me. But I have done decently in terms of economy, and now I know what I'm going to play in terms of team comp going forward. And I'm also going to get to pick early on the carousel, although I don't feel that picking early on the carousel is that great. I would have grabbed the spatula if it was available, but it wasn't. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the Volibear here. Volibear doesn't really do a ton for me, but I like the needlessly large rod here. That'll allow me to build Morellos on someone potentially. Although I think that I wanted it more for a locket, which is formed by needlessly large rod plus chain vest. Generally speaking, if you're going this Inferno build, is you want to build defensive items more so than offensive items. For Inferno, the Inferno procs themselves, the fire that goes down on the ground, is what's going to be doing a lot of your damage. So generally speaking, you want to make use of the Inferno fire and have your team comp just be kind of tanky so they can survive longer and have that fire keep dealing more damage. So I'm going to go ahead and use the 2 Giants belts. I'll make Warmogs. I'm going to toss in Nautilus so I have some front line. Part of the reason why I was losing those rounds is I had no front line. Questionable as to whether I should have even been playing the Vayne, but I had no other 2-star unit, so I thought it was worthwhile to have her in here. In retrospect, though, that arguably was a mistake. So instead, I'm going to take her out. I'm going to put in the Orange, so now I've got 2 Warden units to provide some frontline protection. Warden units, of course, gain extra armor. For more Warden units, the more armor they end up providing. Alright, so we're up against another Woodland Druid kind of competition there. By the way, did you see Varus snipe the Warwick right as Warwick was jumping? So that's kind of nice. Right now, the Inferno damage not doing a ton, but like if you look at the Maokai there, it is adding up. Look at all those little 4s underneath him. He's just standing in the Inferno, tanking, taking more and more and more damage. And so even though I didn't feel like my comp was all that great, now that I do have some Warden units to frontline, I actually am able to win a round. So I was like, all right, well, hey, maybe we've got something here. And now I'm going to get a nice hit there. I'm going to get the Varus 2-star. And at this point, I was thinking, what else do I want to put in? Do I want to put in Nasus? Do I want to put in Ornn? And then I realized, wait a minute, there's a Thresh sitting right there. Thresh is much better to put in because he will make Ocean together with Nautilus. And his shield is just better for this fit anyway. So sell the Nasus, sell the Ornn, get up to 30 gold passive income. And this feels like a better setup. 3 Inferno, 2 Ocean, 2 Ranger, 2 Warden. So it was a little bit rough at the early going. I was like struggling to find something here, but now I kind of have something. Unfortunately, I'm up against someone who has somehow already managed to make Annie 2-star. I was like, what? How do you already have Annie 2-star this early in the game? But look at Zophis. Zophis has spent 100% of their money, so they really have nothing left. So this round, going to be a little bit tricky because of that Tibbers, who's going to be super powerful. But that person is not setting themselves up well for the long game. So even though I've lost 3 out of the 4, or what is it? 4 out of the 5 rounds. Lost 3 out of the 5 rounds. I've lost a fair amount of health, which is not ideal. I actually am feeling pretty good because I've managed to make a composition that's pretty decent, and I know where I'm going. I know I'm going into more Inferno units. We're going to go ahead and set everybody up here to do the Krugs, and I'm in good economic shape. I've got 38 gold in the bank. I'm already level 5, so I'm feeling pretty good. Even though I've lost a fair amount of health, I'm feeling pretty decent about this game. So let's talk Inferno while we have a round here where there's not a whole lot going on. So what specifically does Inferno do, if you haven't seen me highlight this in one of my videos yet? Well, if you've played Teamfight Tactics, you're probably familiar with the idea of Inferno. It puts little fire particles on the ground. This trait was buffed pretty significantly in the little B patch that came out, the 9.28B. It used to be that Inferno only created the little particles on spell damage. Now they create the little particles on spell damage or critical hits, either one. So that was a pretty big buff to this trait. They actually lowered the damage done slightly, but the fact that it now procs on both crits and spells is a pretty significant result. And I want to sell these so I can get over 40 gold income. So, the official description, I'll read it here. Inferno spell damage burns the ground beneath a target, dealing a percentage of that spell's pre-mitigation damage as magic damage over 5 seconds. Effect triggers on spell damage and critical strikes. So, the higher your level of Inferno, the more the damage, and the more fire hexes go on the ground. If you have Inferno 3, it's 70% damage over 4 seconds, and you only get 1 hex of the Inferno damage. If you get to Inferno 6, it's 140% damage, so double damage, and it's 3 hexes instead of 1. If you can get up to Inferno 9, which requires having an Inferno Lux, there's no other way to get that, it's 210% damage, and each spell proc or critical strike is 5 hexes. I have not made Inferno 5 or Inferno 9 before, but I would love to see it in action at some point. Like I said, it requires some luck. You either need an Inferno Lux or you need to get multiple Bomby's Cinders to pull it off. So anyway, now we've made this comp, and you can see I have gone ahead. One thing I did do was I put the Morellonomicon, used a Giant's Belt plus Needlessly Large Rod to put a Morellonomicon on the Varus there. So his arrows will create that burn effect. This is not an ideal item. I just had kind of an excess of Needlessly Large Rods, so I wanted to go ahead and make use of it, and this will be very useful against some of the comps that have a lot of healing. So any light comp, any comp that is Woodland Druid, because the Druid provides passive health regeneration, having one unit that has that debuff is pretty nice. And of course I also have the Kindred's spell abilities also provide a healing debuff. So I have a decent way to cut into people's life for gen. Right now I'm looking at the other comps. I'm seeing some Predator, 2 Predator comps. There's another person playing a similar comp, Inferno. There's an Ocean Mage, very common right now, very popular build. Part of the reason why I've been trying to experiment with other comps is because with the Ocean Mage Warden build is so contested right now in the lobbies. I don't want to play it every game because there's often like 2, 3, even 4 other people contesting for the same comp. So again, Teamfight Tactics, the name of the game is being flexible. It's like right there, Warwick, he's standing on the fire, we get a lot of burn there. Diana's doing a good job of applying this. This comp is pretty strong because it's got all 2-star units, so Varus is going to apply that debuff, but the Cogwell is going to trigger Predator, so I'm not able to win that one. What's up, bro? What's Soup Bro, if I get that name right. What's Soup Bro had all 2-star units. Fortunately, I'm going to get a really big hit right there. I managed to get the Kindred 2-star, and I also am going to level to 6. I've been sitting over 50 gold the whole time, and like look at some of these other comps. So I mentioned that this was, or some of these other opponents I'm up against, I mentioned that this was a lower skill level game than some of the other ones other lobbies I've been playing. If you've noticed, a lot of people have no money. Like they've rolled their way down to no money, so they might be strong now, but because they've cut their economy down to nothing, they are not going to be stacking up that passive gold, and they're going to be weak later on. Like, look at this comp right here, In Extent. Just apparently doesn't really know how to manage economy. Well, level 5 with only 20 gold in the bank. So, like, this is not going to work long term. This is going to turn into a low finish because you need, like, you're just not going to have enough money to get the units you need, and you're not going to be a high enough level to get those very strong units that are 4 cost and 5 cost units. So, again, fairly basic stuff. If you need to kind of master the basics of running your economy before you really think about team composition. And this is someone who probably just doesn't have as much experience in Teamfight Tactics, so that's a comp that's not going to be very dangerous as the game goes on. Right now I'm middle of the pack as far as health, and I am just econing super duper duper hard right now. I was hoping to grab a spatula here because I've got the Needlessly Large Rod, and I'm actually kind of holding on to a Needlessly Large Rod because I would like to be able to potentially make a Bomby's Cinder if I would get a spatula. But I do want to make use of the items I have too. It's never good to just have a ton of items sitting there on the bench unused. You should use your items. Better to have something that's slightly subpar than to have like 6 items on the bench doing nothing. So I grabbed the Chain Vest, even though it's on a Vayne who's only worth 1 gold, because that will allow me to make a Locket, and Locket is a very good item for Inferno team compositions. The Locket is going to create a shield for any units that stand in the same row. I think I do go ahead and build the Locket right here. I'm trying to remember if I do that or not, but I think I do. Yeah, so Locket of the Iron Solari, anyone who stands in the same row up to 2 sides, up to 2 tiles next to them. So it's basically the same as Zeke's Herald. You have to be in the same row and within 2 tiles on either side of the champion. You get a damage shield. Blocks 300 damage at the start of the fight. Meanwhile, over here, see Shanghai Po Wang has managed to make a Blade Master Nocturne. So as I saw that when I was scouting these, I was like, all right, that's the other person I'm going to be competing with for tops in this lobby. It's going to be between me and Shanghai Po Wang at the end of this game, because he's made a Blade Master Nocturne, and that's going to be a very strong competition. Up here against Dizzy on Neptune, Dizzy on Neptune's also running an Inferno setup here, and wow, those brand bounces are doing a lot of damage. Am I going to survive long enough? Yes. So I do end up winning the round, although that one was close. And Dizzy on Neptune has a pretty decent team composition as well. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, you know, I see that Soraka sitting there. Maybe I should grab Soraka as well, because one of the nice things about this team comp is I will want to go into Mystic eventually at the end of the game. You can make Mystic by combining together Nami with either Soraka or Janna. And I figure, you know, it wouldn't hurt to have the Soraka in here as well. So I'm really, really close to hitting level 7. I can't remember if I leveled to 7 here and put in the Soraka or not. It looks like I hold off on doing that. Probably would be worthwhile to level to 7 here and put in the Soraka. So Soraka does not make anything in this composition, but I'm hoping that I will find Nami later on, and then I will be able to create Mystic if I combine Soraka plus Nami in the team comp. So I had money to spend, I figured I might as well go ahead and do that. And here is Shanghai Po Wang, who has managed to make his Nocturne 2-star, which means he's probably going to win this comp, this particular matchup, because, again, Blade Master Nocturne, even though it was nerfed super duper hard in the most recent patch, this is considered to be one of the strongest builds right now. So I was not strong enough to survive that round. And like I said, this is going to be the other player I'm most concerned about. The good news, though, is Shanghai Po Wang apparently lost a gazillion rounds while trying to find that Blade Master Nocturne, and is only sitting on 28 health. So even in a worst case scenario, if it's between me and that player, I can probably get second at least. And that's always the goal. The goal is always the top 5, or excuse me, top 4, not top 5. 5th place is not ideal. Your goal in Teamfight Tactics, get either first, second, third, or 4th, because that's how you gain LP in ranked play. So I picked up the one Soraka kind of like on a whim earlier, and then I see double Soraka. I was like, oh, cool. Soraka, well, I'll go ahead and put her in. She is better than having a 1-star Zyra in there right now. So I'll hold Zyra on the bench until I can make Inferno 6. Having Inferno 4 as opposed to Inferno 3 doesn't really do anything for me. Instead, I'll put in the 2-star Soraka, and she will be able to put down that silence field. Even though she doesn't do anything else for me. Hey, 2-star unit can silence enemy abilities. That's pretty useful, so I'll just go ahead and put her in here. And now I'm looking for what else. I get a whole bunch of items, so it's going to be time to use some of those items. But first, go ahead and level. I will now look to reroll a little bit. So what am I looking for here? I'm specifically looking for Annie and Brand, because those are my other units that are going to make Inferno. I'm buying some other 4-cost units here, because if I'm holding them, they can't show up in the pool. I do find some other units. I find the Diana 2-star. I find the Thresh 2-star. But overall, I'm not having a ton of luck. Right up until I find the Nami. The Nami is fantastic, so I'm going to go ahead and put in the Nami, and now that's going to get me up to, going to get Mystic in play. Mystic, fantastic, really great to have in the late game in particular. Mystic, all allies gain increased magic resistance. Mystic 2 is 40 extra magic resistance. So you noticed I didn't do anything with the items. I was trying to find champions. Now I will sit and try to figure out what I want to do with these items. So yeah, I just destroy Ob Muscle's composition there, and I feel like I'm strong enough now that I can look to Econ to level 8. Sell that Ash. And now we're going to look to Econ up to level 8. So I'm looking at the items right here. I see that I can make the Locket of the Iron Solari. So now I'm going to do that. I have the double needlessly large rods. As I said, I want to hold on to one of them. Again, in the event that I can get a spatula, I can make Bomby Cinder, would allow me to make another Inferno unit. Inferno is particularly great if you can put it on Singed. Now, Singed does not fit into this comp otherwise, but it's just an awesome unit to put Inferno on, because he runs around the map putting Inferno damage everywhere. So I did find a Brand who I'll hold on to. I can't get to Inferno 6 yet, but I'm going to first go ahead and make the Locket of the Iron Solari, so that's going to provide that shield. So let's go ahead and put some units down here. There we go. I'm going to put that shield down. I can also then make Hand of Justice, or I can make Iceborne Gauntlets. So that's going to be really good for Nautilus. Give him that extra tankiness. It will also cause his ult to go off faster. And the other key thing is Nautilus right now is holding items for Amumu. I want to make that very clear. Nautilus is going to be replaced by Amumu later on. I'm already getting Ocean 2 from Nami plus the Thresh. And I really want to find the Amumu because he will give me another Inferno unit, and his ult is just amazing in this game. So those items, the Iceborne Gauntlet, the Warmogs, are being held for a use on a future Amumu. And you can see I've been winning these rounds really easily. Now, if I weren't winning these rounds, I would consider rolling down. But since I'm winning these rounds and not really having any difficulty winning them, I'm content to just sit here and continue econing. I want to get up to level 8. Level 8 will give me a much better chance to find more of the 4-cost Inferno units. I want to find Annie. I want to find more brands. Annie is a really important part of this team composition as well because she's going to provide more frontline protection. The Inferno comp is a little weak on frontline. That's why it's really useful often to run Nautilus and Thresh in the composition up until you find a Mumu late. Nasus can also be pretty good to run in this composition as well, just for a long time. So right now, you see us, we're getting Diana into the back line to apply some of her fire right there. And even though the enemy team summons Tibbers, we're still looking pretty solid here. Soraka getting off those silence fields. So yeah, we once again win this round really easily. And if you look at poor Zophis, Zophis there has no money in the bank, so Zophis is going to be eliminated. I mean, Zophis has a lot of health banked, which is nice, but like level 7, 0 gold, you're going to get out-leveled and beaten by other players eventually. You don't want to put yourself in that position. Now, there are 2 spatulas in the pool here. I would love to get one of them, but I am not expecting a spatula still to be around by the time that it gets around to me. So I'm just like sitting here, I'm just like, all right, come on. Nobody wants that Skarner, right? Nobody's playing up Predator. I'm like, oh, nobody's taking the Skarner. Well, looks like I am going to help myself to that. Yes! No spatula for you, Ob Muscle. So there we go. Now we're going to be able to create the Bomby Cinder, Needlessly Large Rod plus Spatula, and I can put it on one of my units. And I actually have a perfect candidate for it here for this item too, where is also an Inferno. I can put it on Nami, and that means every tidal wave from Nami will spread flames around the map. So she is also a really good unit to put Inferno, to turn into an Inferno unit. I mentioned Singed is probably the most ideal, because he literally runs around the map and every single enemy unit he touches gets turned to flame. But Nami's almost as good, and Nami also is a great fit for this comp because she's providing me both Mystic and Ocean. Thanks to having Nami, I'll be able to drop the Nautilus later on. Otherwise, I would lose Ocean when I drop Nautilus, but because of Nami, I'm not going to. So here's a great example. What Supro was doing the hyper roll for Woodland Druid units. This was very popular in earlier patches. It has been nerfed in patches since then. This is a good example of why this is not a good strategy anymore. So like he had 2 Maokais that were 3-star, and he even got a doubled Maokai 3-star, but he still loses really easily to my comp. He's level 6, so he only can run 6 units. Actually, he had a Force of Nature, so he was able to put another unit in there. But, I mean, he still loses really badly to my team composition because I just have a better setup here. I'm running the Inferno, Ocean, Mystic, Ranger, Warden, and I have a whole bunch of 2-star units. So going for the 3-star units, just not that good anymore. The 3-star units kind of got nerfed in the most recent patch. Their values were toned down across the board. So it's really not good to sit at a lower level, like level 6, and hyper roll for 3-star units. It's just a losing strategy. You want to get up to level 7 as fast as possible, get to level 8 as fast as possible, find those 5-cost units, find the Amumus, find the Tariks and the Master Yis and the Zeds. They're just really good units, and you want them in your team composition. So like right here, we're up against someone, we're up against Inextent. I mentioned before his situation was going to fall apart late game, and you can see how it's falling apart late game. He has no money in the bank. He will not be able to roll for more units, and I've just actually had a perfect rotation here. I went through all the other champs, and I won all 5 rounds in a row. So this means I'm easily going to be able to get to level 8. There we go. Now I've hit level 8. I can put in another unit. I'll just toss in Brand for right now. But what I want to do is get Inferno 6 in play. I really want to find a Mumu, because when I find a Mumu, I will sell the Nautilus, as I've said before. Sell Nautilus. That'll make Inferno 6. I'm in Inferno 5 right now. And once I'm at Inferno 6, every critical strike or spell cast from one of my Inferno champs will put multiple fire hexes on the ground, 3 fire hexes at Inferno 6. So I'm going to look to roll down and try to find a Amumu here, and I'm looking at some of the other comps. I'm not seeing anyone else really playing the Amumu right now, which is great because he's a highly contested champ right now, at least at higher tiers of play. And I'm going to get more items there, so got to think about what I want to do with these items. But first, I'm going to look to roll, and I really want to find a Amumu here, so that's the goal. Let's see, so find Thresh, but that's not going to do anything for me. I find another Nami, so that's good. And I finally find Annie, so this is fine. I'm going to go ahead for right now. I'm going to put in Annie to make the... I'm actually going to put Annie up on the front lines right now, even though Annie is not ideal. But she is the one I want. So there's another Annie. And we're still looking for more units. There's another brand. So I've almost 2-starred a bunch of these units. We want to be careful about rolling down too low. I have to think about whether I want to go for level 9 or not. That's always a question. Do you want to go for level 9? And I think that I do in this game. Unfortunately, I'm up against Shanghai Po Wang again, who's got the Nocturne with the Blade Master Nocturne, so I'm not going to beat this competition, but I think I can beat most of the other ones. Unfortunately, so the start of Inferno 6 was kind of a dud there, but you'll see. This is actually quite good. You just need the right setup. Unfortunately, I do not really have a front line at the moment because I have not managed to find that Amumu yet. But this can be a Zyra 2-star, so that's nice. You can put in, I think Zyra 2-star is better than Brand 1-star at the moment. So we're still looking, still trying to find the last key pieces. There's Nami 2-star, and that's a big hit. Nami 2-star is fantastic. So I think at this point I'm strong enough to, well, I'm going to find some kindreds, more kindreds here. Kindred would be awesome to 3-star, by the way. And there's another kindred. So I've rolled it all the way down. I have not found a Amumu, which is less than ideal. But at this point, I think, well, I think I'm probably strong enough to look to try to econ up to level 9. I lose right now to Shanghai Po Wang, but I think I beat most of the other compositions. In particular, Nami being 2-star is really, really good. Now, she's just been getting stunned by... Unfortunately, she got stunned by Kiana right there. So I don't know if I win this round either. But apparently I do win this round, even though my carry right now, which is Nami, got stunned out of the fight completely. So I was like, alright, if I can win that round, even though Nami did absolutely nothing in that entire fight, I think that I can look to econ. So instead of rolling further, I'm going to look to sit here and try to get to level 9. Well, never mind. I thought I was going to try to get to level 9. My mistake. Never mind. Bad commentary. So I am in fact going to roll this down again. And there we go. We find a Amumu, so thank goodness. Alright, so sell Master Yi, put him in there. We'll take Annie out for right now. Sell, transfer the items over. And now, I've made my team composition. And I can also put Spear of Shojin on Nami. So that's going to be the next thing you're going to see me do. And I should probably put it on Nami in the round. By the way, so why is Amumu so key? Watch, look at his ult. Just freezes the entire enemy team, puts fire on everyone. Then Nami tidal waves, and there's more fire on top of everyone. And yeah, so Amumu was the missing piece. He is the one I need. He provides the front line, and he CCs the entire enemy team while dropping fire particles everywhere. So that was what I needed. And you notice that the minute I put Amumu into my comp, I just absolutely destroy the enemy. So now I can look to econ to level 9. Sorry, this is retroactive commentary. These, you can't, there are no replays for teamfight tactics, as I've said in a bunch of these videos. So I have to, I can only record the commentary in post. There's no item here that's really that critical for what I want to run. So I think I just go ahead and grab the Frozen Heart, another item I can put on Amumu. And also good because it helps him get his ult off a little bit sooner by giving him the extra mana in addition to the extra armor. So just generally a good item to put on him. Although actually, wait a minute, I think I couldn't put it on him because he was on the Ocean Hex. So I put it on Thresh instead to help Thresh get his ult off and make him tankier. Again, as a Warden unit, it's always nice to get a little bit of extra base armor because I think that the extra armor that you get from the Warden traits stacks with that. So I've got 2 out of 3 brands, I've got 2 out of 3 Annies. I'll be looking to put them in as soon as I can find an extra version. I will probably take out Zyra and Diana because they're the least important ones. And of course, I can also put in another unit. Actually, there I decided to put in Annie anyway because I think Tibbers is pretty useful to have in this team competition. Now we're back to Inextent once again. Remember Inextent, remember how I said multiple times earlier that his team comp was going to fall apart late game? Well, sadly that's exactly what's happening. He even 3-starred some units and it just doesn't matter. His comp still falls apart really, really badly. He does not have the economy. And unfortunately, we're going to eliminate In Extent in 6th place in this match. So sorry to see that, but we do eliminate another player. And at this point, I'm actually top 4, so I've achieved my goal for the game. And the only other player that I think is at all dangerous is Shangho Po Wang. I think everyone else I beat pretty easily right now. It's just that Blade Master Nocturne that I have to account for. Has very good items for Nocturne, Guardian Angel, and Infinity Edge to go along with it. So I'm thinking, the only comp I'm worried about is Shangho Po Wang. So right now I'm positioning to deal with him. I just looked at that comp. I'm watching where the Nocturne is. The Nocturne is positioned to jump to the bottom right-hand corner of the map, so I'm going to try to set things up so that the Nocturne will jump onto the Annie. All Annie has to do is get Tippers off. If she dies after that, it doesn't matter. And I positioned it so that Nami is not going to get hit. Also, if Soraka can get off a silence that field, that would be nice. So there we go. Amumu gets his ult off, manages to get the big CC train. There goes the Nami tidal wave, so we managed to hit Nocturne with both Amumu and Nami. So the only one left right now is that Nocturne. And as long as we can kill that, the comp falls apart. So that was an example of positioning specifically to deal with an enemy team comp. Now, like I said, I didn't really care if I hit what Supro or Dizzy on Neptune. I was pretty confident that I would be able to win against either of them. And we managed to... what did we manage to do? We managed to hit Shanghai Po Wang as expected. Well, actually, no, I wasn't even sure I was going to hit him, but I just didn't really care if it was any of the other comps. So we managed to win that round by getting our crowd control off on the Nocturne, which is the only unit that's truly dangerous in this fight. Now we've got another minion round, so I was looking to see what items the other teams are going to pick up. There is an Amumu on Dizzy's composition right there. I've got a Static Shiv. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the Kindred. Seems like the most useful person to put it on. Not an ideal item. I could have found better stuff, but whatever. I mean, it's not the worst. I'll take it. Better than nothing, right? And I'm continuing to econ up towards level 9. So I find Annie 2-star, I then find Brand 2-star. I was like, alright, well, we definitely want to get Brand into this composition. So I'm going to sell the Zyra, and I'm going to sell the Kindred 2-star who's on my bench, because it's more important to put Brand into the comp right now, as opposed to having that Kindred 2-star sit on the bench. I don't think this game's going to last long enough to get a Kindred 3-star anyway. So we put Brandon. That actually makes 7 Inferno, but whatever. We just got another champion who can apply the Inferno. We're actually up against another Inferno comp right here. You see the Inferno Lux? That's another way to get Inferno in. I have not found an Inferno Lux. Actually, it would be impossible for me to find one because Dizzy's already got an Inferno Lux. But you can see my comp is very strong at this point. I have 2-star. I have 9 units. They're all 2-star units. And so even though there's fire everywhere on the map, we're going to be able to beat Dizzy in this comp and eliminate him. So now it's down to just me and Shanghai Po Wang. So I said at the beginning of the game that it was going to come down to the two of us. And oh, there's an Amumu. So this is fantastic. We're going to get the Amumu. I do not have any units on the bench I can sell for him, so I'll have to lock and go for it after this round. Unfortunately, though, look at what Shanghai Po Wang is running. He's managed to 3-star his Nocturne. I was like, uh-oh, this is not good. We managed to 3-star the Nocturne. So, we're going to have to try to find a way to work around that. And let's see what happens here. So, I was trying to position, I moved the Nami over to the right-hand side so that she would not get jumped on by Nocturne. And I'm doing a reasonably good job here. The problem is that I still have not managed to kill the Nocturne, and yeah, so he managed to take me out. I was like, oh, this is not good. Am I going to be able to win this round at all? 3-star Nocturne, 3-star Blade Master Nocturne is really scary. But I managed to buy the Amumu that I had locked on the last round, and that Nico, which had been sitting in my inventory since the very beginning of the game, is finally going to come in handy. So now I've managed a 2-star Amumu as well, and that's going to help. So I was thinking, alright, well, Nocturne is off in the top right-hand corner. Kiana's also in the top right-hand corner. Let's try to position so Nocturne jumps on a target that is going to be harder for him to kill. So I'm going to, at the last second, I'm going to swap the Thresh over here. And I'm thinking, alright, well, maybe he'll jump onto Thresh with the Frozen Heart. But aha, he swapped to the top left-hand corner. So he's going to go after Nami, but he actually ends up countering himself right now because, look, we get the Amumu ult into the Nami tidal wave, and both the Nocturne and the other assassin, Kha'Zix, both ended up getting CC'd, so we managed to crowd control his units, and we actually win. So I type GG, and this guy types GTFO because he's a real jerk. And that's that. That's a first place finish and a really good example of showing how this particular team composition works. Yeah, so this was a game where I wasn't 100% sure at the start what composition I was going to be running, but it turned into a great chance to showcase how Inferno 6 works. I kind of got all the key units in this composition, demonstrated how I wanted to run a Warden to hold the items that would go onto a Mumu in the late game, and you can see how a Mumu is the one really critical piece of this comp. Like, you don't necessarily have to play the Nami. The Nami plus Soraka was great in this game, but you don't have to play that. You could have Zyra in here instead of, like, the Diana or whatever, but the Amumu is a crucial piece. You need Amumu, and you want him to have really good defensive items, and the idea is just to apply Inferno to as many people as possible. So, hope you guys enjoyed this, a chance to showcase another team composition, something that wasn't Ocean Mages or Predators or something. So anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you guys again soon. Until then, take care.